is TechStrong TV.
Welcome to TechStrong TV. I'm Bonnie Schneider. Today we're going to explore the exciting intersection of technology and travel. Joining me now is our Jason Carlson, the founder and CEO, and Robert Kachmar, CTO of Wallabing, the trailblazing peer-to-peer RV rental platform. Gentlemen, it's really great to have you both here.
Thanks, Bonnie. It's great to be here.
Great to be here.
Jason, I'd like to start with you. Can you share the inspiration behind Wallabing and how it's transforming the RV rental industry?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the easiest way to explain the inspiration is just it's my fondest memories of growing up. My family and I started using my great-grandfather's kind of hand-me-down little pop-up trailer, one of those old, you had to crank up this little tent in the middle. And from those bare basic beginnings, it kind of expanded from there to every summer, all summer long, with my grandparents and my family. And I wanted to share it with my family once I got married and started having kids. And so from there, it becomes one of those things that you hear about all the time. You know, if you're doing what you love, you never really work a day in your life. And I wanted to find something like that. And so that's where kind of the genesis of this came from. And then from there, it was like, well, if we get an RV, and my background is in finance. That's what my educational degree is in. And so when we went to look at an RV to kind of start the process of having that fun, I said, geez, those are an awful investment. They depreciate like a vehicle, but they're a car, but they're a lot more expensive. And so we started thinking about, well, how could we mitigate that? Could we loan it out to others? Could the family share it? And, it just from there was one step to another and finding out that, hey, maybe more people could share it. Maybe not just my family, but others down the way and around the country and the world. And that's kind of how we got here.
That's fascinating. Robert, can you kind of, as the CTO of Wallabing, can you walk us through technically how it all works and also how you've leveraged your background in tech to build a robust, user-friendly platform?
Sure. Yeah. So, when I started Wallabing, the first thing I did was I used the software, right? So I started with the basics, trying to understand all the little intricate pieces of it. And because when I came on board, I basically inherited a platform that had been put together by a couple of contracting agencies beforehand. And so I had to come in and sort of understand everything that was happening, unravel all the bugs and figure out all the backlog that's involved with doing that process. And then working with Jason and the rest of the team to figure out how do we prioritize this stuff and what's urgent, what's the customer request, what are business priorities, and then take all that stuff and then just start working through each of the items in that backlog to try and knock them out. And then it's that development process of when you inherit something to try and unravel the mysteries involved in there and the adventure of trying to figure out how to solve that. And then, testing, and then rinse, repeat, go to production, do it again. It's basically, it's about finding the pain points that people experience and then going in there and improving them, and making them better, whether it's a new feature or fixing a bug.
Mm-hmm.
And then, in the end, you get what you see, a robust, friendly platform that is not finished, right? You always have to keep on improving and changing, and there's always something to do. So
that makes sense. It's really interesting. It seems like RVs are having a renaissance. Jason, you mentioned your childhood. I have memories of it too in my childhood, but now it seems like everyone, very young people are interested in it. Data from the RV Industry Association shows that the 18 to 34-year-old age group now represents 22% of the current RV owners, and a whopping 84% of millennials and Gen Z RV owners are planning to upgrade to a new tech-packed unit within the next 5 years. Wow, that is interesting. Jason, is this something that you've noticed yourself, and can you talk about some of the unique features that you're seeing that are coming in RVs, really that are tech inspired, and also the benefits that Wallabing offers to RV owners and renters?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that the really, for better or worse, the big push with the younger group and kind of that renaissance started with COVID, with the pandemic. When that hit, we all still wanted to, go experience things, vacation. No one wanted to be stuck inside. But how do you do that with what we had going on? And that was kind of that genesis, I believe, and really the big spike of getting people out there. And, younger people, as much as it's great to be on your phone or play games or do all the high tech stuff that we've all grown accustomed to, when you are forced to only do that all day long, it becomes a whole nother thing. And so anyway, so we saw that big jump and leap of the younger group getting into it. But with that comes, like you said, that expectation of they want more. They want to bring the tech with them on the road. And you have the things like Wi-Fi and satellite and stuff that's been there for a while. But now one of the bigger things I've noticed is the younger group, just like when they're investing, they in companies and looking to work with companies or use things, they also want more out of what the company is doing, not just tech, but environmentally. And so we see that being kind of married now with that big leap into more renewables and electric powered vehicles. So when you're talking about what we see coming, and you talk about the RVIA, I just got an email from them this week, a matter of fact, where they're starting to push and partner and talk to companies about adding more of those plug-in stations and support along the highways and off-road, so that the RV industry as a whole can also start moving forward that way with those the new big surge into electric vehicles, electrifying the RVs themselves instead of using diesel and gas and all that. So that's really the biggest change in tech that I've seen. A lot of the other fun stuff is just that. It's the bells and whistles and fun things that you see, the trip planning and all the things that you get with your different apps.
I didn't even think to ask you that about whether a lot of these vehicles are going electric now. So is that, you do see that as something that's growing in demand and what they're putting out there?
I think the younger group is really pushing that, honestly, more than anything. And I think that the industry is responding to it in a really great way. And I think that first step, I love that they're sort of doing it the right way, putting the cart before the horse, saying, well, if we build hundreds of thousands of these electric vehicles, how do they get on these long haul trips? Having a 200-mile range isn't great for an RV. So they want to see, how can we get from point to point? And the first step is making sure there's those stations to fill you up, right? To plug in as you go. So I love seeing that with the RVIA and that big push there. And yeah, I think we'll see a lot more of that here shortly.
That's interesting. Robert, in developing Wallabing's platform and app, how has agile development and the principles behind it played a role in delivering a seamless user experience?
Well, I think like one of the first things I did when I came on board was getting that backlog together and getting that visibility. I think what was happening was there wasn't as much visibility into everything that was going on at any given time. It was always like, hey, we need to do this, we need to do that, we need to do that. It was constant. It was this constant, we need to do this, and then like, what is actually happening? And so I spent that time getting that stuff together and bringing that visibility up to the surface so that people could really understand, like, this is actually what's happening. Like we have this huge thing of what we need to do, and this is what's actually happening. And then, is that really what we need to do? And figure out the prioritization of that, and then just constantly shuffling things around as you do in Agile. Also, the stand-ups that you do in Agile to kind of get things moving along, especially when you're coming close to a deadline. Sometimes multiple stand-ups a day, so we can hit that milestone that we're trying to get to. And then of course, breaking things down, taking these huge concepts, these epics that people come up with, and then how can we break those down into smaller deliverables and actually get value, rather than waiting, 2 or 3 months for something to get delivered to production. So.
And what about you, Jason, in terms of technology and challenges? I mean, it's one thing to have this nostalgic dream, of your childhood and then trying to make a living at it. I'm sure it wasn't perfectly seamless. Can you talk about some of the challenges you faced from the idea to the execution to where you are now?
Absolutely. It's a great question I think about a lot. So like you said, the nostalgia and really the RV industry, it's been around for a really long time. But what comes with that is sort of that, it's a lack of inertia. Almost nothing wants to move. It's a very, a lot of the companies are privately held. There's not a lot of public stuff. And so to try to start pushing into the future, the next steps, the new tech marketplaces and all those things, it's kind of a big lift. And as you know, education is expensive. And so that's one of the first challenges, is trying to educate people on being able to share their vehicle or those next technology steps and things. And that's a big challenge. Another one that I'd like to mention, Rob's talked a lot about how he came on board. When we first started, we did what a lot of companies do. We hired outside, had them kind of build the basic framework. And what we soon realized, and they realized, was that it sounds simple. A marketplace, Airbnb for RVs, just here's your RV, we rent it, whatever. But there ends up being a lot of complications. And one of the largest challenges we found that Rob has really excelled at is taking things that are they look extraordinarily simple, or they look very simple, but are extraordinarily complicated. And the back end and getting all those pieces to work together. I think at any given time when someone does a transaction, we have anywhere from 9 to 12 different apps and activities that have to go hand in hand. From insurance to background checks. I mean, just multiple steps and checks all seamlessly right when someone hits enter. And that can be a pretty big and heavy lift. And not a lot of companies were prepared when they saw that. And Rob has been able to come in and take the complicated and make it simple. And I think that's not just a testament to him, but to some of the challenges we face that you don't think are going to be there when you start, right? When you just try to get going.
Yeah, that's true. And as now we look towards the future, Rob, can you talk about the RV rental industry as a whole, and where you see Wallabing playing in the evolving landscape in terms of all the technical changes that are coming out? And we talked a little bit about renewable energy and the younger people wanting to have more tech within their RVs. Is there anything that you're working on tech-wise that you think is sort of part of the general landscape of the RV rental industry?
Well, I think looking to the future, I know Jason's mentioned this before when I first came on, and it's something we're definitely looking to do. Right now, it's not currently being worked on, but coming up with something related to AI. If there was some kind of situation where you could go in there and say, like, I want to go, on a trip to Disney World, and I like hot dogs, and then and along the ways, whatever, it tells you the different places you can go if you're going to do like a road trip down there, and the different RV spots you can stop at, and where a Nathan's or whatever a place that you can get your favorite fast food along the way. But having that kind of suggestion engine to help you along the way to basically plan your trip like an old school
travel agent,
trip planner, right? Kind of do it for you with the AI.
That makes sense. That's a good incorporation of AI. And Jason, one last question for you. If you could give some entrepreneurs advice. A lot of people are watching are working tech, and they maybe have a great idea, and it could be a passion for adventure like you had, and then wanting to combine that with cutting edge technology. So based on your experience, what advice would you give to entrepreneurs?
Well, I think the biggest thing, like I had mentioned before, is if you find that thing that you love and do what you love, you're never going to work a day in your life. And so I love that you bring that up, because if there's someone out there, I'm sure there's many people out there that have those passions, and if they can marry that knowledge and tech and everything they're learning, and just like what Rob brought up, I've talked about it constantly. AI, we're at the forefront of this massive AI thing, and one of the things that we've been missing is that old travel agent touch of, oh, here's these little things you can do on your way. And I think that's where AI could excel. So along those lines, as the younger generation, or even people that have been in it a long time, start to think about ways they can use their expertise in tech and marry that with something they love, whether it's adventure or not. I think one is keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate things. Find out, because that's really what people strive for, whether it's using the apps or on the website or whatever you're doing. Keep it simple. Distill it down to the most simple form it can be. And then number two, enjoy the trip. just like if you're out in an RV, and that's one of the wonderful things about being in an RV, it's the same in life and the same in that career as you launch forward to try something new, to try to start your new business or your new venture. Enjoy the ride, enjoy the journey. That way, whether you succeed or you fail, you're going to learn something, you're going to take something from it, and then you can move on to your next big adventure and make that a success.
Great advice. Jason Carlson, founder and CEO, and Rob Kachmar, CTO of Wallabing. We really appreciate having you on TechStrong TV. Thank you for the great advice, and looking forward. It's perfect timing, in the summer, everyone's looking to take their big trip. So it was really nice to have you both on. Thank you.
Thanks, Bonnie. I appreciate it.
you.
Thanks for having us.
Good.
Great. All right. Well, stay with us on TechStrong TV. We're going to have a lot more coming up.